My amplified unit, salute. No Roman Reigns. No Bobby Lashley. No Bray Wyatt. Brock Lesnar runs away from Omos in a 90-second segment, and Asuka and Bianca Belair are playing the can they coexist game going into WrestleMania. If it seems like WWE is on cruise control going into WrestleMania, if it seems like WWE is on autopilot going into WrestleMania, if it seems like WWE is coasting into WrestleMania, it is because WWE is on cruise control, is on autopilot, and is coasting into WrestleMania. We saw signs of that on SmackDown Friday night. Because WWE programming has finally found a pulse that it hasn't had in the better part of 10 years, BC has been very high on the product the last couple of months for justified reasons. Storylines like Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, or Cody Rhodes in his culminating moment at WrestleMania, this whole title reign of Roman Reigns culminating for this epic defeat at one of the new faces in WWE. It's interesting, it's intriguing. Asuka, Bianca Belair, WrestleMania. The match alone is going to absolutely rock that house to the core. Asuka in WWE for nearly 9 years, a couple of those in NXT main roster for the majority, and she has never won a WrestleMania. And to have this be her epic moment, hoisting up a championship up high on the grandest stage of them all, WWE has a pulse finally. Friday night, I saw them kind of hit the cruise control button. And last night on Monday Night Raw, they put that cruise control, that autopilot into high gear. They're obviously coasting into WrestleMania, and that is unacceptable. But the rest of this cold open has to be spent on one of the big stars in WWE, one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling, whether you like him or not, whether you love what he's doing or not, whether you love his style or not. Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda. All right, so I had to switch over to the Sony noise-canceling headphones. But if you guys caught my Amped Up podcast from just yesterday, you know that Bray Wyatt missed a huge house show in New York City at Madison Square Garden. This was a big match against LA Knight, and a lights-out match. It was heavily promoted and marketed all the way up to the match, and then Braun Strowman was announced as a replacement. Braun Strowman defeats LA Knight. I'm sure LA Knight was probably wishing afterwards that he too did not show up to MSG, being booked to lose to the backup. No offense to Braun, but he was the backup to the A player in the game. That was supposed to be in the game. The backup comes in and still beats up LA Knight, pins him flat, and then last night on Raw, LA Knight, it was not much better. We'll get to that when we go over the Raw review. But for Bray Wyatt, no show. No word, no nothing. The only report we got was it was a physical ailment, is that some reputable sources were hearing. We're thinking, okay, maybe it was the finger. In January, he got it fucked up. In February, he actually showed a fan sitting front row at one of the shows how it was bent backwards. It was bent in a direction that it should not be in. So we said, okay, maybe they're just trying to protect it. You know, every time he goes out there, it just gets a little bit worse. But still, if it's a physical ailment, you can still go out. Madison Square Garden in New York City would love to see you, give you that big pop. NYC always gives a great ovation to Wyndham Rotunda Bray Wyatt. It was odd that he didn't play any part at MSG. So then you fast forward to Monday Night Raw. No Bray Wyatt. No mention of Bray Wyatt. No Bobby Lashley. No Uncle Howdy. Nothing. Radio silence when it comes to Bray Wyatt. Now, the word we got coming out of Raw was, okay, we're hearing now that it's not a physical ailment. It's an internal illness. It's an illness now. So right off the bat, if it's one of those two, time out. Much love and respect and a fast recovery. You're in our well wishes if that's the case to Wyndham Rotunda Bray Wyatt. Salute. We hope the best for Bray Wyndham because this is a Bray channel, a pro Bray channel. We love the dude. I think he's a mastermind. So you never want to hear that somebody is physically unable to show up and compete, especially if it's an illness of some sort. Is that an illness that could be taken out in a week? Is it going to take him a month? Is he going to miss Mania? What type of illness are we talking about, right? That's a little bit more severe than just a physical ailment. You can heal bones. Internal illnesses, that can cause heavy damage on another scale. So then we hear it's a little bit more severe. So you say, okay, well, it would make sense for Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves not to mention it if it's a physical or an internal ailment, right? Because it wouldn't fit the character, right? You're not going to say, well, Bray Wyatt wanted to be here, but he's at home with the flu. It doesn't fit the Bray Wyatt supernatural character, right? I mean, he's larger than life. He's beyond the average in terms of character. You don't want Corey Graves or Kevin Patrick telling you that he's at home with the flu, right? That's like Jim Ross back in the day saying The Undertaker wanted to be here, but he's at home with food poisoning. But don't worry, the dead man will be here next week. Yeah, the dead man has food poisoning. You don't want to think that. You don't want to think of Bray Wyatt with the flu or anything like that, you know? Or is it more severe? But you don't want to think of that, so they don't mention it, right? It doesn't fit the character. Maybe it's at Bray's request. Maybe WWE is smart enough not to do that. So it would make sense not to mention something like that. I get it. But what it does is it starts word around the campfire. The rumor mill starts to heat up like a hot stove. And everybody starts to come out with Bray walked away from WWE. Bray quit WWE. Bray left because Vince is back. What? There's no evidence of that. Relax. 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 We're just spitting stuff out. And it's because I can't even blame people for starting the mill because the optics are horrible. Because Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley has been horrible. The match sucks. On paper, it makes no sense. The match itself, seeing them two in the ring, makes no sense. There's no story, and there's not enough time to build it. They have no history together. Nothing that we would want to connect the dots and say that's got to be a WrestleMania match. This has been botched from the jump. And they back themselves into a corner with the lack of storyline, the lack of why it's even a match concept. You gave yourself no room for error. So if somebody like Bray Wyatt needs to take a week off of shows leading up to Mania, you are royally fucked. Because you don't have enough time as it is. The time that you do have, you're not doing anything with it. You pulled up your pants and did the muscle man dance. I can laugh at that and be down with that for a show. A show. After that, you gotta kick it into high gear. Ever since we did the muscle man dance, we have done nothing since. There's nothing you can remember from this lack of storyline. Alls we all can remember is the muscle man dance. I think Uncle Howdy was able to escape a spear on a Friday Night SmackDown recently. That was it. And now Bray, something happens with Bray. He has to miss a whole week of shows and you have nothing. And they decided to just give up. They didn't even have Lashley in anything last night. Nothing. In fact, after the show, Lashley seemed to steer away from Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania. Lashley said, I worked too damn hard. This was a social media post. After Raw went off the air, Bobby Lashley says, I worked too damn hard. I will be at WrestleMania no matter who it is. I'll be at Mania. I worked too hard for this. It sounds like he's got Bray Wyatt in his rear view. So does Bobby Lashley know something that we don't? Is Bray not just missing a week of events? Is Bray gonna miss WrestleMania and possibly beyond? Matt Hardy is putting up a cryptic post. Matt Hardy's over there on his social machine putting up a photo of him and Bray Wyatt as Raw Tag Team Champions when they were tag title holders. Odd timing for Matt Hardy to do that. Does he know something we don't? Is Bray unhappy? Did Bray walk away? Is he saying, hey, come to AEW, we can reconnect? odd post by Bobby Lashley and an odd post by Matt Hardy. Is there word going around the wrestling world behind the scenes in these locker rooms that we don't know about? But I gotta believe the reports that we're hearing thus far to be the accurate ones. There's some type of ailment. And even if that's the case, WWE has dropped the ball by just doing nothing with Bobby Lashley last night. You could still do something with Uncle Howdy and Bobby Lashley. You could bring Alexa Bliss back to work. Alexa Bliss is basically on her social machine telling everybody, I didn't take a hiatus. They're keeping me home. I'm ready to go to work. 3 separate times Alexa had to say that in the last month. Bring her in if you got nothing, if you don't have a Bray. But to do nothing is incompetence, and it's unacceptable on behalf of World Wrestling Entertainment. Because if you're expecting to bring Bray back next week and try to rekindle a light that was never lit in the first place between him and Lashley, even BC isn't buying it. And this is a pro-Bray channel. But this has fallen off the fucking rails. And this was a WWE booking botch from the jump. That's all I'll say about it for now, because we don't know enough. And I don't want to jump to conclusions. And until we find out more, that's the only time that BC's going to speak more about this. Stay subbed and notified. I understand the tube is taking people off of subscriptions for the channel, man. It's happening across the tube, so make sure you're subbed. I understand that sucks, because you have to be subbed for at least 4 weeks to be able to chat in live streams and shoot the shit with the rest of my amplified unit. So if the tube has taken you off, you have to start another 4 weeks. I know that sucks, but the tube is taking people off without them knowing about it. So make sure you're subbed, and then you gotta wait 4 weeks to shoot the shit with the unit. But always make sure you are, guys. And if you are, BC might come up with a video whenever I get more word, either in a live stream, special amped up podcast bonus, but you guys will get that in your subscription box. I promise you, it'll be a bonus video whenever I get more news on this situation. Thank you so much for being patient with that. We don't have anything right now, man. Nothing. He's just missing shows, and we have no definitive word. Salute unit on your way in. Smash that up if you don't mind. Give it a super kick. Give it a Canadian destroyer from the top rope. Give it a pedigree, give it a sharpshooter, but smash that up. It truly does help out the algorithm, and it's totally free, you cheap sumbitch. It's free. Just smash it. And to my gold members, my channel members, man, you guys are the fucking best. Honestly, the utmost love and respect. The fact that you guys throw a coffee to the channel every month and show another level of support, dude, that is a salute and a half to every single one of my unit members. I'm going to get a big swig, and then we're going to start Monday Night Raw. The bulk of this amped up podcast for Tuesday, March 14th is going to be spent on Monday Night Raw for March 13th, 2023. It seems to BC that we are coasting into WrestleMania with this show last night, and that is unacceptable. We talk all about it right now. All right, so Raw for 3/13/23 starts off with Edge. On this day, I see clearly. Edge doesn't waste any time, calls out Finn Balor. Of course, you ain't getting just one. You're going to get all four. When you call out somebody like Balor, you're going to get all of Judgment Day. And of course, Judgment Day all comes out, stands atop of the rampway. Edge says, for the past year, I've wasted it with you four. And the year before that, I wrestled in front of TV screens in the Thunderdome. I mean, you really felt Edge here because he was telling no lies. I mean, ever since this guy's come back, it hasn't been exactly what I'm sure he planned. He says, I need to accomplish what I came here to do, and frankly, I'm running out of time. So there's only one way that this can end. Edge Balor, Hell in a Cell. So there it is, man. We were wondering when Triple H took Hell in a Cell off as a main pay-per-view, as its own pay-per-view, we knew that he wanted to incorporate that back into events like WrestleMania, matches like he was in, Hell in a Cell's at Mania, make them special again. We didn't think it was going to be immediately, but it is. He's putting the Hell in a Cell moniker onto Edge and Balor. Should be interesting. Balor says, I've been to hell before, and it spit me out. I'll see you at WrestleMania. So he accepts. I like this. Promo-wise, everybody nailed their... I love Edge saying, like I've been here 2 years since I've gotten back, and I've wrestled in front of nobody, television screens, and for the other year, I've been fucking tussling around with you bozos. Like, this has to finally fucking end. Edge in a cell. Edge will be in the cell. Hell in a Cell with Edge. Edge in a Cell. I need more coffee. So, and then Balor, I love that. I've been to hell before and it spit me out. I'll do it again. I'll meet you at Hell in a Cell. So the match is made. Judgment Day then hits the ring for an attack on Edge. Dexter, Lumis, and Johnny Gargano come out for the save as we head to commercial. Now this, of course, was to set up the match when we come back from commercial. First match of the night. Gargano and Lumis versus Damien Priest and Dominik Mysterio of Judgment Day. The problem is, why can't we just let this breathe? Beat the shit out of Edge, and that takes us to commercial. Make Judgment Day look bona fide badasses, right? And just let Edge get the shit whooped out of them. Gargano and Lumis have a match with... Okay, that's no extra connection to Edge. They wouldn't go out of their way to help out Edge. They have no business showing an extra level of personal care with the Judgment Day. This could have been more effective if we went to commercial break with Edge getting absolutely whooped. And then when we come back from break, Lumis and Gargano come out as Edge is being taken to the back, and they're looking at Edge. And Gargano's looking at Lumis. Lumis is looking at Gargano. They're both looking at Edge. Then they all look at Judgment Day, and they're like, all right, that's not going to be our fate. We have our work cut out for us. The numbers game is in their favor. Look what they just did to a Hall of Famer. Okay. We got our work cut out. It's time to go to work. It's time to clock in, right? And then Gargano and Lumis do their thing. There was no reason for the faces to get the ultimate revenge immediately in Q1, segment 1. And by the time we went to that first commercial, man, the heels are retreating, right? Judgment Day look like bozos. There's no reason for that. Let him kick the shit out of Edge, call it a day. Or at least a fucking segment. Come back, and now Judgment Day's in a match. It sounds like nitpicking, guys. It's the little details, bro. You just have to care. Levels of interest. You have to allow us to tap into those levels. Back from break, Gargano and Lumis versus Mysterio and Priest. Match is actually started during commercial. I have people that were there in the arena. They said a minute into commercial is when they started. So you tack on 2 extra minutes on top of the 14. Bell to bell, this was a 16-minute match. Damien Priest pins Dexter Lumis clean with his South of Heaven chokeslam. And Lumis sold that finisher like a baller. Guys, dude got 12 feet in the air, slight exaggeration, but Dexter Lumis tapped into his inner Air Jordan. This thing was a thing of beauty. This will be on Damien Priest's highlight reel when it's all said and done. That would be an ultimate still shot. You know, in Damien Priest's game room or man cave. Like, I still remember, like, Michael Jordan was dunking over John Starks, I think it was, of my New York Knicks, and it was just called, like, The Dunk. John Starks also had a dunk as well. That was called The Dunk. Little John Starks, if you guys remember old school New York Knicks. I also have a poster of that as well. But anyway, my point is, that would be Damien Priest's big poster in his man cave, right? The Slam. And fucking Dexter Lumis, with his size, seemed to be 12 feet in the air, man, selling that like a baller. I cannot say how awesome that was. So Lumis sold great for Damien. Great for Damien. What this does for Lumis? Nothing, man. Not only did he lose clean, flat on his back looking up at the lights, it wasn't even in a one-on-one matchup with a decent story and feud. It was in a nonsensical tag match, middle of Monday Night Raw. I'm not so sure that I would book that type of matchup. And by not so sure, I'm being generous. I would never book that. You got to be careful how you Book people. You got to remember, man, just because it sounds good on paper, you still have to book everybody to come out looking strong. It still has to make sense. It has to benefit everybody. Where are we at here? But Judgment Day gets the ultimate W here. And then we see video from earlier in the day of Damage Control attacking Trish Stratus backstage. Stratus was laid out cold. Was that so hard to do, by the way? That's how you book Damage Control. Just creating damage, and other people have to control their damage. Instead, the only damage that has been being done since Bayley, Io, and Dakota has gotten together is their own booking. Damage Control has been damaged. They need to control their own damage being done to their own booking, man. Go figure. The irony. That's how you book them. You know, it took weeks for them to even come out with their mission statement. When they first got together, and I think Io is one of the best female wrestlers in the world, Dakota is so good at what she does, and Bayley is top-notch. But for weeks, they failed to give us their mission statement, and they were booked awkwardly. So BC waved a red flag and said, what's your mission statement? Why should we care about you? Individually, we do. Why, as a group, should we give a shit? And it took them weeks, but finally they came out and they gave us the 3 things we needed to hear. We're here to take over the women's division. Right? We're here to collect the titles. We're here to make a statement. All right, then just tell us that on night 1. You know, and because it took so long, it took a while for people to even believe in them as a group. And then you add in bad booking, and here we are, man, fucking March of 2023, and a lot of people are just not behind the concept of Damage Control. It's because they weren't booked properly. Just beat the shit out of people, man. You take a legend like Trish, and you beat the fuck out of her backstage. And later on, by the way, Trish came out of the trainer's room with Becky and Lita, and she said, they meant to send a statement. All they did was piss me off, and they storm off. So I thought that was really good line delivery by Trish. But it made Damage Control look like they're actually delivering on their mission statement. They're there to smash people, to make a statement, to collect titles. So losing even the tag titles, it does mean something to them. Taking out Lita, Bayley, and Trish all in one match does mean something because they want to take over the women's division. You know, you can say the words, but unless your actions are showing it and backing it up, nobody's going to believe in it. So anyway, I like the post, or the backstage attack on Trish. Brock Lesnar then comes face-to-face with Omos with MVP. They shake hands. Omos will not let go. Brock gets pissed, goes to Suplex City, bitch, Omos. But instead, Omos palms Lesnar's dome piece like a basketball and catapults Lesnar over the top rope. There was a slight little problem there. Lesnar went to go belly first so he could really fly. Lesnar loves to put his body on the line for our entertainment. The one good thing I will say, man, I got to give props to Brock. He doesn't have to, but with his big frame, he flies like a cruiserweight over that top rope most of the time. He flies over there, man, and he really sells whoever's delivering over the top. Slight botch because he wanted to go belly first. Omos thought he was going back first, right? So there was a little bit of a miscommunication. Some people are making it a bigger thing than it is. It's not a huge botch at all, man. He got hung up a little bit on the rope, and Omos sent them flying afterwards. It wasn't a big deal. I'm going to give Lesnar a mulligan because Lesnar usually flies over that top rope for our entertainment. And he never even needs to half the time, man. But he's palmed like a basketball, flies over the top rope. And then afterwards, he's just like, everybody's out there like Jamie Noble and officials trying to break them up. But there's nothing to break up. Brock wants nothing to do with Omos. He tells Jamie Noble, who's trying to back him up. You remember Jamie? I'm Jamie Noble! He used to be with Nydia. She was a tough enough winner, I believe. Not just a contestant. Nydia and Jamie Noble. Nydia's character was like a trailer park trash girlfriend, chewing bubblegum, booty shorts. I'm Jamie Noble. Nydia, get over here. I used to love them. Anyway, Brock is yelling to Jamie to get his cowboy hat. Brock gets his cowboy hat from Jamie Noble, and he just walks away, confused. Like, how am I gonna take out Omos? He just walks away. He basically runs away from Omos. Like, that's the story we're going to tell for the next few weeks? Fuck that. Check that. I want to see Beast versus Mountain. A Beast wants to conquer the mountain and climb that shit to the top. The Mountain doesn't want to give way to the Beast. It's a combustible element. And at Mania, one of them is going to have to implode. But every fucking time they're in the same room, they should just be colliding. Every human body in the arena that's not a fan should be between them. From talent to referees to security to fucking janitors to the catering crew. Everybody should be trying to... I mean, this should be just a combustible element every single time. Instead, guys, we're going with the, he's big. I don't know how I'm going to conquer this guy at WrestleMania. It's so... Really, man? We've already seen Ali take on Omos and not be that scared. We've seen Ricochet take on Omos and not give a fuck. We've seen Dolph Ziggler in there having the time of his life against Omos. And Brock is scared. Brock is confused. He's in a conundrum. How am I going to conquer this beast? BC, you got to make Omos look good, man. Then just let them go to an all-out war every time they're in their fucking same ring. You're only going to see Brock one more time before Mania anyway. I just can't get behind the fact that all these smaller wrestlers can go in there with Omos and just take him on, and it's Brock who wants nothing to do with him. I guess it does suit real life, I guess, right? Brock's like, fuck that, I got my payday, I showed up. I ain't dealing with this motherfucker. I guess that would make sense, but damn, I was hoping for so much more. This had potential. It fell flat. Hour number 1 ends with, Cody Rhodes versus LA Knight. Yeah. Yikes. Oof. This is one of those matches where neither dude can lose this one, guys. Neither one. LA Knight needs this. 10 minutes from bell to bell was this match. Incredible Cody cutter into a crossroads. Leaves LA Knight flat on his back looking up at the lights. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes wins the match. When I say incredible Cody cutter, these Cody cutters are really good. Yes, the athleticism of Cody Rhodes to hit the springboard and time it perfectly, but it's also the opponent that's taking the move, just like an RKO. Your opponent and how he sets himself up in position timing-wise is everything. LA Knight sold this beautifully, masterfully last night. And that was right into a crossroads. So it was a Cody Cutter crossroads combo that did LA Knight in. No harm, no foul when you look at who he lost to and how he lost. But it just sucks to see LA Knight losing again. Guys, if you look at his last 20 matches, LA Knight's last 20 matches, it dates back from November 2022. And this includes house shows, television shows like Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-view premium live events. He's had 20 matches since November. He's only won 1 match, guys. 1 match out of 20. 5 months back to November. Now, even if you're not an LA Knight fan or you don't see that much into him, you know he's more deserving and has earned more than 1 victory in 20 matches since November. Losing to everybody from Ricochet to a Braun Strowman to a Kevin Owens to a Bray Wyatt, you name it, he's put everybody over. A Cody Rhodes, a Drew McIntyre, Drew and Sheamus recently together, everybody. I mean, do you put the entire roster over before you finally get your break? By then, is your hole dug so deep that you can't dig out of it? You can't come out of it. People are not going to believe in you because they just saw the whole roster lap you. That's my problem with LA Knight. It's not nitpicking. I just hope sooner rather than later they start to give LA Knight some spotlight and some shine. Put some respect on the dude's name. As far as Cody, another massive W. He gets on the mic afterwards because Roman Reigns don't work Mondays. He'll be there next week, Paul Heyman says, but it's WrestleMania, man. You got no fucking Roman Reigns. Again. 2 titles. He holds 2 titles. We're 19 days away from Mania from last night, 18 days from now. No Roman Reigns. Can't be bothered to show up. So now Cody's got to cut a promo to the hard cam. And Cody Rhodes says it's a passionate, amplified promo on Roman. He reiterates that he is going to beat Roman Reigns. It is not just a journey anymore, or a destination. It's a necessity. Roman Reigns is going to lose his title at WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, flat on his back on April 2nd. That's right. Big piece of information there. We all thought that that was going to be the main event of night 2, but now we know for sure. It is confirmed because Cody said it 5 times in this promo. April 2nd, night 2, Cody will conquer the Tribal Chief and hoist that championship up. So that was a very telling, informative end to hour number 1 with that Cody promo. Hour number 2 was odd. Very odd, because there was only 2 matches. One was 3 minutes, the other was 10 minutes. Bronson Reed defeats Elias. Rick Boogs is on the outside, literally taking notes. Pen and notepad. I fucking think that's hilarious. At this point, though, we should probably put that in the trash with the 24/7 title, because these notes are not going to help Boogs, because Elias is teaching him everything not to do. Bronson literally squashes Elias, bro. And I mean flatter than a Big E produced pancake. A Bronson tsunami splash. Bell to bell, this was a 3-minute match. And again, Elias completely squashed. I don't know what Boogs would put in his notes. Get squashed in 3 minutes? Put that under the category of don't do's. And I gotta tell you, man, Bronson, man, he doesn't even wait to get set up. Maybe he knows he'll fucking lose his balance if he tries to get set up at the top rope. But the second that first foot gets onto the top turnbuckle, Bronson's already midair, guys. And whoever's about to take that tsunami splash just better hope and pray for the best. And then after that 3-minute squash match, literally, we went into Austin Theory defeating Dawkins via A-Town down. This was a 10-minute match, bell to bell. Post-match, Theory locks Dawkins into the STFU. Of course, that's the old school submission of Jonathan Cena. So this was an FU via the STFU to John Cena. Obviously, Theory is not happy that he got roasted verbally on the mic last week. Backstage, or I should say, when Raw went off the air, Montez cut a really good, very good promo with Charlie Caruso. This was WWE.com, I believe. But Montez showed a much more serious side. He said everybody thinks we're all just about jokes, and because we laugh and we get loud, that we can't be serious. He says, Theory, try what you did to Dawkins is one thing. Try that with me. And Dawkins doesn't look too happy. This new side of Montez was welcoming. And then when he leaves, he says, let's go, Dawkins, let's go. And Dawkins is following like, who the fuck is this guy telling me what the... This could be the seeds planted to them finally splitting up. I've said for the longest time, Montez's star has already been shining. It's dimmed when he's in this tag team with Profits because they don't know how to book them, they don't care, and they seem irrelevant as a tag team. But Montez, not just what he did at Elimination Chamber, that's a cherry on top, but what he's been doing on his own. He's already a star, and that star is shining. Now it's just about cutting the anchor from the ship and letting that ship take sail. As far as Dawkins, is he going to be able to sink or swim on his own? It's time for him to find out. But that question no longer looms large over Montez. We already know that he can swim. In fact, Montez can swim better than 90% of the roster. He's getting to shore faster than 90% of the roster. That's how good Montez can swim. Can Dawkins swim? We'll find out. And if he sinks, at least we know where we stand. But Dawkins is the clear anchor to Montez's star right now. You gotta let that star shine. I like what I heard in that post-Raw.com, I think it was, interview. But as far as the show, that was it. Theory locks in the STFU post-match to Dawkins, and then we just went into a bunch of filler, guys. Hour 2 was 2 matches. That's it. Bronson defeats Elias in 3 minutes. Theory defeats Dawkins in 10. Everything else, Chad Gable was backstage looking for Otis, who is missing. Lita, Becky, and Trish were walking out of the trainer's room more pissed off than before Trish was attacked. Kevin Owens is telling Cody Rhodes not to help him later in the main event against Solo Sikoa. We look back at John Cena's roasting of Theory last week, a video package. And Paul Heyman was with Charlie Caruso backstage, informing Cody Rhodes that next week, the Tribal Chief will grace us with his presence. Well, hey! 14 days away from the show, or by that point, 12 days before the show, Roman Reigns is going to show up to work on a Monday. So hour 2 was strange, a lot of filler. And I'm not saying that we need more wrestling time than 13 minutes. That's apples and oranges. The show should be for storylines anyway. The pay-per-views should be when we get the matches, the longer matches, right? All the action. Of course, 3-hour Raw, you want to have some good wrestling matches, some of them with some good amount of time. But I'm not going to get hung up on how much wrestling we got in the second hour. It was a weird hour with no real storytelling to make us care about WrestleMania. Just a lot of filler. Odd hour number 2. Hour 3, we start off with a video package of Rey Mysterio to hype up his Hall of Fame induction. So fucking weird, guys. The dude is still full-time. And they already are playing video packages like he's retired. Looking back at his career while his career is still happening. That's odd. It's like Tom Brady. For years, they've been trying to get this guy to retire or feel guilty that he's not retiring, calling him old. When are you going to retire? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you give a shit? When he joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is coming from a Green Bay Packer fan, when he left New England and Tom Brady joined the Buccaneers, everybody was saying he should just retire. Why is he starting with a new team? And he went and won the Super Bowl. If he listened to every schmuck and just retired just because they wanted him to, he would have a less Super Bowl. Well, BC, he still would have his family, man. His wife wouldn't have divorced him. I didn't know you were in his private life. I didn't know you knew all the fucking inner workings of his relationship. How do you know it wasn't gonna fucking combustible element beforehand? For many other reasons. If he wants to still play, let him play. Don't rush his fucking retirement. Don't put him in the Hall of Fame during the season while he's still playing. That wouldn't make sense in any sport. But because it's pro wrestling, we go, he's a legend. He deserves this now. Why not let it breathe? Let Rey Mysterio enjoy his career for however long he wants his career to last. And then you let him retire. You let him enjoy it for a few years. And then you call him for that ultimate show of adulation, right? The Hall of Fame. And after he's been retired, it's going to mean so much. I've already went over this twice now in other podcasts, other amped ups over the weekend. You guys can check those out because I'm really adamant that this is just obnoxiously stupid. And last night, it just got more obnoxiously stupid as I'm watching a video package of a guy that you would honestly think was retired or something. And after the video package, he comes to the ring to set up his storyline with Dominik. So odd. Some people are like, well, BC, it might be a career match at WrestleMania. He might put his career on the line, BC. Okay, so wouldn't you do that at Mania and then next year induct him then if you need to rush it? Why is he going into the Hall of Fame before his career is fucking before his fucking career is over? I mean, people are trying to justify it by saying maybe his career is over soon, BC. So wait, what's the rush? I'm seeing a video package of a guy who is still involved full-time with the company. So odd, man. This is why you wait until they're retired and then a few years even afterwards. This is why. It's weird to a lot of us. Ray hits the ring, as I said. He says, this is an award not just for me, it's for all of us, he says. Dominik Mysterio comes to the ring, says, and I quote, congratulations, you earned this award at the expense of me. You chose all of these strangers instead of being there for your kids. Dominik says, I see you for what you really are, a sad, ugly excuse for a father and a man. He says he's still pissed because Ray promised him a car when he turned 16, and while all his friends were showing up in Mercedes in a Mercedes. He had to show up in a BMW. This kid did not just say that. Too funny, bro. He then challenges his father, Ray, to a match at WrestleMania. Ray refuses adamantly. He says, I told you once, I told you a million times, I'm not going to lay my hands on you, I'm not going to wrestle you, I'm not going to fight you. And Rey Mysterio walks away. As he's walking away, Dominik says, and I quote, yeah, run away like you always do, just like you ran away from me. When I was a kid or something, he says. And then he says, the only thing you taught me was what not to be, what not to do. So heavy, scathing words. And Ray actually stops because he's so conflicted. I expect that Friday, either Ray's going to finally pop Dominik or he's at least going to accept the WrestleMania match, because by Friday, guys, you will only be 15 days away from Mania. I mean, you kind of want to start putting that on some of the marquees, right? Or do they wait another week till Mania? I mean, it's definitely by Mania, Monday Night Raw, Monday. It's definitely got to be within the next week, right? Set it up, and then you have a full week to know that that match is happening, man. And the people buying tickets to the stadium, the people that are getting it out home, it's another match you can sink your teeth into because it's official. But I like the build to it. It doesn't need a Hall of Fame for sure. This is easily, I told you guys what this is. WWE does not care about the Hall of Fame this year. They've already told you that in a million ways. Just open your eyes, pay attention. There's been no word about when Hall of Fame is even going to be aired on USA Network. We think, again, it's going to be placed right after SmackDown, guys. They're just going to put out the Hall of Fame. Everyone's going to hit the showers, put on some tuxedos, and go out to the arena. It's going to be the same crowd that paid tickets to Smack. I mean, it's horrible, man. They did this last year, and now this year we're hearing it's going to be even more condensed. They want to shorten it even more so the talent has more time to sleep before Mania. The Hall of Fame is a shell of what it once was. And if you need any more evidence that they don't care about it this year, the first inductee was announced Friday, 3 weeks before the actual event. And it was somebody who's in-house, Rey Mysterio. They didn't even make a phone call to a legend or somebody that's waited for this. Just Rey. He's still full-time. They just passed him on Friday in the hallway. They're like, oh, Rey, we wanted to talk to you. Can you go into the Hall of Fame this year? We just don't have time to bring anybody in yet. We're trying to get the Great Muta and a few others, but that's going to take a little bit. We only have 3 weeks. Ric Flair, what is it, next Monday? He's supposed to announce the next inductee. We think the Great Muta is supposed to be number 2, but we'll see. So it was a good segment. The Hall of Fame thing is just so befuddling to me that it's taking me out a little bit of the storyline. But I love Ray and Dominik and where they're going with this. I love how slow we are building toward it. Seth Rollins then defeats Baron Corbin via the stomp. Miz was in the ring for some ridiculous reason, so Rollins uses Miz as a launch pad, literally jumps off of Miz's back and does a super stomp to Corbin, Mario Brothers status. Match time clocked in at just 3 minutes, bell to bell. Backstage, Chad Gable finally finds Otis in a photo shoot with Maximum Male Models. Otis is literally in his underwear taking glamour shots. Don't visualize that. I'm saving you here. Maxine tells Otis, wrap it up, let's get out of here. As Gable is left like, dude, who are you going to choose? Are you going to be Otis for Maxine? Or are you going to go with me and be Otis and go with your tag team partner? And it's a sad situation where Otis is like, sorry, he's chasing that tail, bro. Otis is no stranger to loving those blondes, and the blondes love Otis. You guys remember the storyline with Mandy Rose? Well, now he's got something to do with Maxine here, and he chooses Maxine over Gable backstage. Now, this would make a lot more sense if titles were on the line. Like, say Alpha Academy were tag title holders, and Maxine was smartly trying to drive a wedge between them so that the male models can get those championships. But unfortunately, there's no real reason why you would drive a wedge between them. But this could have been even better if planned a little bit more properly, man. I don't mind this at all with Maxine and Otis. Bianca Belair then defeats Chelsea Green via KOD. Post-match, Carmella attacks Belair. Asuka hits the ring for the save. She takes the Raw title, and Asuka starts teasing Belair. Belair's like, all right, come on, that's funny. Funny, Asuka, can you give me my title back, please? And Asuka just starts laughing even more diabolically. Then the blue mist comes out of her mouth, and she gives no fuck. She just starts laughing. This was a little bit more of a heelish Asuka. That's good to see. Because your personality is now the murder clown Kana. You cannot be the old school Asuka anymore, and that's gonna cut it. No, unacceptable. So I like how she's fucking with Bianca, because last week they look to have shown mutual respect again. And I was like, no! Asuka cannot go into Mania just another face with Bianca. Doesn't work. She's the murder clown. Let her go into Mania as the heel. And you say, well, BC, Vince likes to have those title changes with a big face. Trust me, Asuka's going to be cheered anyway by most because she's respected by everybody. But this personality, this character of Kana Asuka, just trust me on this, guys. She's much better suited as a heel. And you can have her hoist that title, man, at Mania as the heel. It has to be that way. Otherwise, what are you doing? And it looks like afterwards, they played it good here. She looked like more of a heel. And then they announced that they're going to be in a tag team match next week. Chelsea Green and Carmella versus Bianca Belair and Asuka. So next week, we're doing their can they coexist bullshit. The only way that this can play out is if Asuka turns on Bianca mid-match. Let everybody know that you're not the same old sweet smiling Asuka from the past, and you are the murder clown. You are Kana Asuka. You have to let everybody know that showing up to Mania is somebody that most of that crowd doesn't even know yet. This is a different side, and you're coming on a mission, and you're gonna take what a lot of people think you're not gonna take, that fucking title. So when I take it at Mania, don't be shocked, don't be surprised, don't act like I didn't tell you and show you that I was taking this shit. That's how Asuka has to be presented next week. Take out Belair mid-match. Chelsea and Carmella get to pick up the scraps and get a massive W over the Raw Women's Champion. BC, you say all the time the champion should not be losing matches, non-title or title, especially nonsensically. Absolutely. But everybody wins here, guys. The Bianca-Asuka match by Asuka turning on Bianca next week helps Bianca as well for Mania, for the excitement, for the story. It helps Bianca just as much as Asuka. It helps Chelsea Green and Carmella because they finally get a fucking victory. They've just been collecting L's nonstop. At some point, they're gonna have to pick up a W somewhere. Everybody would win in booking like this because you already booked the tag match. I wouldn't have even gone that way. Can they coexist? Fuck no, they shouldn't be coexisting. She has a title and she wants it. Be a fucking tag team like your best buddies again. We saw 6 months of Asuka being the side chick to Bianca's feud with Damage Control and Bayley. We don't need to see it going into Mania with a one-on-one title match between the two. Turn on Bianca next week. Let Chelsea and Carmella pick up the scraps and collect a massive victory. Let fans feel bad for Bianca because the ass whooping is bad. Maybe Asuka comes back post-match and puts more of a beating on Bianca. Fuck more. The match between Bianca and Asuka is going to over-deliver. It's going to rock the house down. Now make us care about the story going into it. Street fight main event, Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa. Just over 10 minutes of a bout. They went to the outside, went through some tables. Inside, Owens went from the top turnbuckle through some steel chairs. Maybe even through the crowd a little bit, I believe. They went backstage where the Usos got involved, Jimmy and Jay. They dragged Owens back out to ringside, put him into the ring. Samoan spike, Solo picks up the victory. Owens is looking at the lights. We fade to black, we go off the air. What the fuck, man? The story for the Bloodline has been so good for so long. Every show, even Raw, like last week with the Jay storyline turning on Sammy, everything so beautifully. Every Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, they've been telling this story beautifully. Last night was the first time where I didn't give a fuck about the Bloodline storyline. They gave us nothing. Owens tells everybody not to come out anyway. So no Sammy, no Cody out there. Usos and Solo Sikoa are celebrating off till we go off the air. No Roman Reigns, no Cody, no Sammy, no nothing. Owens looking up at the lights. What the fuck? And if you're going Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag titles at Mania, again, you got 18 nights to make it fucking happen. And the earliest you could possibly do it is Friday the 17th, so you'd only have 15 nights to make it official. I love the slow burn, just like I said about Mysterio and Mysterio. But you're running out of time now, guys. At some point, you're going to have to have some type of deeper interaction with Sami and Owens. Last night's Raw as a whole felt like it was on cruise control, autopilot. It felt like they were just coasting. That is unacceptable. There are no more mulligans. It's WrestleMania time. Every single show leading up to Mania should be Mania-esque. That is your Monday Night Raw 3/13/23 review. This has been your Amped Up podcast with BC Amplified. Of course, I have been your host the whole time, BC Amplified. And until tomorrow, where there'll be another Amped Up, maybe even later if I get more news on Bray Wyatt, for instance, or any big story that breaks. Just make sure you're subbed and notified, obviously, and that'll reach your sub boxes. But yeah, we kept it here long enough. I think we're just going to keep it with the Raw storyline now. My other stories I'll back up until tomorrow's Amped Up podcast with any other late breaking news. But that's the Raw review. This has been your Amped Up podcast for Tuesday, March 14th. Until next time, Top Guy, I'm out. BC saying think, be, live, amped always. My gold card members, my channel members, thank you so much for all the love and support on another level, man. To my entire Amplified unit, my red team, everybody who just takes a moment to smash the up to show that utmost respect to the channel. Man, you guys make all of this so worth it, man. So I know you guys are always thanking me for the content, especially all the content, the new show that I am producing now, basically every day, Amped Up, going about an hour every day of all the latest in top hard-hitting news stories and topics in the wrestling world. You guys are thanking me for all the content. I just want you to know, I'm thanking you motherfuckers, all right? I'm running it back, turning that shit back to you guys, man. Thank you. All right, till next time, BC, saying check you.